What's up guys, David122 and it's list day. And more importantly, it is the final day of list week. And what better way to finish off the week than with Cards of the Future. Basically, these are some of the ideas that I had for the game moving forward that we never really saw before, but there is the potential to see, and it'd be really cool to see if they eventually came to light. Obviously, this one's a big discussion video, so you guys in the down comments below, you guys just go ham, man. Just go ham. I encourage everyone who watches this needs to leave a comment, even if it's like, Dave is awesome. Y'all know it's gonna be Dave is gay. I know it. Like 30 comments, first 10 minutes of this up. But no, I want you guys down in the comments talking about what you think, where the game is going in the future, because frankly, it's really open-ended. But these are my 5 thoughts. The rules for this list could be anywhere from particular cards or archetypes or types of monsters getting support, all the way to like extensions of mechanics. It's just completely open-ended. Let's get to it. Number 5 is tunes. I think tunes they're not really an archetype. They're more of like well, I guess they're kind of an archetype as well as they are a type of effect monster. They're actually both. Tunes are really weird because they're not just an archetype, they're also a type of effect monster, which I think that means Toon Alligator is part of the archetype, but is not an effect monster that is the Toon effect. So they're a little weird. Basically, this was because back in the day before we had archetypes, I don't think Konami knew how to do it, so they like put it in the like effect text line as like part of the effect. It's a Toon monster. Then they realized it's just easier to name all the monsters in a theme with like the same like leading character. It's more organized and you have to put less crap down in the bottom. And then you can have normal monsters be part of your archetype. But anyway, I think tunes are some of the type of effect monsters that get the least support. They get trickles here and there and every once in a while, but overall, they never just do a complete reboot, which is what the deck really needs. You know, Pegasus is getting his relinquished support, and you know, Yugi's got like a deck built around like every single one of his iconic monsters. Like he's even got like support for Curse of Dragon, for Pete's sake, as well as like Kaiba having both his ABCs and his Blue Eyes White Dragons seeing their time in the meta before. Like, I mean, legacy nostalgia decks they're a lot of money in that, so I don't see why we can't have a halfway decent tune deck. I just think it'd be really cool. I think down the line it'd be really great for one of those duelist legacy or duelist pack, whatever the hell they're called. I think it'd just be cool. It's something I'd like to see. Oh, and can we get rid of the summoning sickness thing? Like, can we get rid of that? Like, it's like, why is that still a thing? Why is this still a thing? Number 4 is a gambling mechanic. Yeah, we got dice and we got coins and we got all that kind of crap, but most of the time it comes down to it's a choice between 50-50, really good or really bad effects. And I think that's kind of stupid. How come we don't have a viable gambling deck? Wouldn't that be cool? I want like a Joey style deck where you can actually put all your chips down, actually something really cool happen, but without the fear of it being completely and utterly devastating if you get it wrong. Basically, I'd like to see a lot more gamble cards where it's like, instead of really good or really bad, it's like branching good effects. Like, you know, maybe you get to special summon a monster from your deck, or you pop a card on your field, but every card in the deck floats when it goes to the graveyard. So it's like, I don't know what I'm going to do, so my deck's going to make its wombo combos in one way or the other, and it's going to branch off at each new monster summoned to the field. Like, that'd be a cool mechanic. It'd be totally unreliable and probably a nightmare, but if Konami can make something like Burning Abyss run as smooth as butter, they could make a gamble archetype. Like if you can design cards that well, you can design anything. So just you got to put your minds to it, guys. But yeah, I like to see some gamble stuff. Maybe we can get the rest of the Arcana Force cards that we don't have. That'd be cool. It'd be a good opportunity to do that. No, that's just my thoughts. Now we're moving away from the decks and we're getting to more broad mechanics with Numero 3-0. That's not Spanish. This one's going to be Ritual Pendulums. Obviously with Rule 4, Pendulum monsters getting tributed going to the extra deck isn't as good as it used to be because now it's harder to Pendulum summon them, but it would be really cool if we get a Ritual Pendulum deck. They kind of just seem to go together, more than like Rituals and Spirits do, and they got a deck. And we even got a card like Spirit Whisperer, which is like when it's Pendulum summoned, you search ritual stuff. There is no deck that can really use this. I guess you could make a weird Herald deck using Ariadne and Luster. I don't even know what their pendulum scales are offhand, so I don't even know if you could do that. Probably can't. But I mean, that's interesting, I guess, but I don't think the intent of this card. I don't know if there was ever an intent of this card. It's just this card leads you to believe that at some point they were noodling the idea of a pendulum ritual-based archetype. Hell, like pendulums have been mixed with every other special summoning mechanic. We've got synchro pendulums and fusion pendulums, and we even have Xyz pendulums, which don't really make any much sense. The only one that hasn't gotten one is, well, I guess Lynx at this point, but they're new, so that gets a pass for a while at least. But we don't. But rituals have been around for longer than pretty much all of them, and we don't get those yet. So come on, man, where's my like half blue, half green pendulum deck? That would be kind of neat, actually. That'd be a cool deck. You could do some fun stuff with that, and this would be a 3-of. In that same pendulum vein, we got number 2, and that is the lopsided pendulum scale. Since the beginning of the Arc 5 era, I was wondering if we'd ever get a pendulum monster where its blue scale was a different number than its red scale, and we have yet to get one. It's really odd that on every pendulum card, the pendulum scale is just one number in a corner somewhere. It's actually decidedly 2 numbers taking up 2 individually labeled red and blue diamond spots on every card, and yet they're always the same number. It seems like, other than symmetry, a waste of card space on the artwork. Like, why are they doing that? Unless at some point there was an intent to have a pendulum monster with a lopsided scale. Because not only does each pendulum monster have a red and blue scale number on it, the actual placement of the pendulum zones on the field are also red and blue to coincide with the scales. So an educated player of the game would then likely be to assume that the scale of the monster changes depending on what position you put it in. It's just that at this point it has never mattered, because otherwise why would they have the distinction of a red and blue scale? Why'd they do that if they never had an intent of it, ever doing anything with it? At the very least, I think what they did was they did this to have the option to later if they ever wanted to. I don't know if they ever definitively came up with a monster they just never released, but they at least probably wanted to have the option going forward in case the pendulum mechanic kind of kicked off. It was received kind of lackluster, so maybe that's why we never got the ritual pendulum deck and we never got a lopsided pendulum scale. But I think with Rule 4 and what Pendulum Magicians are doing, just showing you that, yes, they can still play with it, and if anything, most people are now considering like Pendulum Magicians a pretty fair deck, more or less. I think now would be the time to introduce your pendulum scale that's all loppy-sidey. The implications of a lopsided pendulum scale are actually really cool from a game building standpoint.
Go away, you're polluting my audio.
What was I saying? Having a lopsided pendulum scale is actually really neat for deck building and card design, because that means you can totally build a deck that's completely dependent on card placement. And with the new link mechanic out, card placement in its certain columns is very important anyway, so why not just make it important for pendulums too? Plus, that means if every single one of your monsters in a pendulum deck is a high scale and a low scale, that pendulum deck will always be able to pendulum summon. It'll be super consistent. Like if everyone was like a red blue or a red 1 and a blue 8, that would be really cool for the deck. Like that would be so techy, and you could do some really cool stuff with the pendulum effects. You could have a pendulum effect that it can move from one pendulum zone to the other. You could do some really cool stuff with that in order to change your scales. Hell, it'd be really solid splashable pendulum engine for decks that don't normally have pendulum cards, because every one of their monsters is very versatile. There's just a lot of cool stuff you could do with it. So come on, Konami, where's Jerome? Jerome! There's no honorable mentions because I was struggling to come up with 5 original ideas that didn't sound really stupid or were way too fanboy-y. And I think that Toon one might have been a little fanboy-y. That's why it was 5. So we're gonna go right to number 1, and number 1 in this case is the Up Diagonal Link Monster. Currently in the game, if you go into like Miss Starboy or Mrs. Radiant that's got the down arrows this way, there's really no good way to like stick a firewall dragon or anything to get your extra link going. Because when you want to extra link your opponent, you need to go down, over, and then wait, how many spaces is that? Down, over, and up again. Yeah, I'm tired. I've filmed all these at once. But it'd be really cool if you just be like up and back up to the other spot. Because there isn't any ruling on extra link saying that if a diagonal up link monster was to exist, you wouldn't be able to do the V as opposed to the U, I guess? in order to extra link. So that way you could do like Mistar Boy into whatever that thing is into another Mistar Boy, and you got like a wall of attack power and this like flying V thing. Yeah. Obviously it would mean that you could extra link with one less monster, and if that card was to ever exist, it would probably be towards the end of the Link era, not towards the beginning, because that would really open up a lot of can of worms. But it would most certainly be interesting. I feel like it would give a lot of old decks an interesting strategy because, you know, all you have to do going forward is make sure all of your like meta-defining Link decks all just have like perpendicular scale, or not scales, perpendicular like Link zones, like, you know, how double helix is an L. Somebody once told me the world was gonna roll me. This is derailing quickly. I don't even remember what I was saying. Any of your meta super Link hyper decks, all they have to do is have perpendicular Link arrows so they can't utilize the V, and then all the old school decks, like, I don't know, Frogs or whatever, they want to just spam Mistar Boys, and I don't know, like your Synchron spamming the Great Fly, your Fire Fist spamming Doolittle Chimera, stuff like that. Now you give those decks an option to extra link, and they can do it with one less Link monster because those decks can't spam Link monsters like the other ones can. It would just give those old decks an interesting extra play they can do in order to stun your opponent in, like, you know, with the mechanics of the game. Something that most decks except like World Chalice really can't do right now. I don't know, that's just my musings on that. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think of my 5 entries, as well as, you know, whatever things you think would be cool for them to introduce to the game. Hell, even a new summon mechanic. It's a little early because we're still kind of getting used to links and stuff, but they've only been out like a year. But let me know in the comments below what you guys think, and remember guys, if you don't troll the meta, who will? I'll see you guys for next list week, whenever I decide to do that. Somebody once told me the world was gonna roll me, ain't the sharpest tool in the shed.
Oh, hey losers. What are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button. Wanna watch something else? Hurry up and choose one of these. Ugh. When are you gonna make a choice? This year would be nice.